Hello, everybody, and welcome to the full GitHub submission workshop, and welcome to the Open Web Community Creators and Communities Hackathon. So for this session, we have Matt Locklear here with us to help us lead developers and creatives in this submission. And so Matt Lock is the Developer Relations Director at Near Protocol. As you come to the CreateBase.community website and you come to the hackathon page, which most of you have hopefully seen already, and I'll drop these links after once Matt gets talking. But you will see we've kind of already been through a couple weeks of this hackathon already. It started May 14th and it ends June 6th. Today's June 4th, so not much time left to get started. But if you have no clue what's going on yet, you should probably click this register button and we will still get you the information to get started. We had a conference at the beginning of this hackathon to get it kicked off, and you can kind of rewatch that conference there. We had our full hackathon schedule. You can kind of see that there. All the submissions from everyone who's already submitted to the hackathon is on our Near governance forum. And if you want to see everyone's submissions that have already been put in, you can come to our forum. And also, we have all chat and support on our Discord. So coming down to how this hackathon kind of worked, we used bounty DAOs. And again, DAOs are just kind of ways of governing on-chain decisions. And so we have put Near into these accounts, and they are governed by councils. So those are groups of people in these topics. So we have virtual reality DAO giving out bounties for virtual reality topics. We have generative art DAO, NFT onboarding, NXM, which is Near Music, NFT gaming, social tokens, Figment Learn, and MetaGo. So there's a lot of topics. And so if you're interested in any of these topics or you just want to propose your own, please come to the hackathon link, and I'll drop it here for you now. This is probably the most important link for you to kind of get into if you want to know more information about the hackathon and getting started. So please get there, scroll down, and if you want to start submitting, all you have to do is click these guide buttons, and it'll drop you straight in the Near forum where you can start submitting. But we've kind of moved through a few weeks of that, so kind of skip through all that information, assume you already know it. And we've already had 3 different workshops so far in this hackathon. We had an ideation workshop led by Jay Harrell from QuantStamp, where hackers were able to earn 10 Near for their project ideation. We had a project presentation workshop led by Ashley Crawford, where she led hackers through a presentation about how to get their product presentations ready. So that was like getting your pitch deck submitted. Then we had the video demo workshop led by Chad and Dorian from the DevRel team. We had that just last week, telling us how to kind of make our videos pop and make them stand out. And today we have this full GitHub submission, which is the last task of the hackathon. So we're going to get started with this workshop. Matt is going to lead it. And so, I'm just going to shut up here and get started. So Matt, thank you so much. And you can kind of just take it away, tell us who you are a bit, and, help us get our GitHub projects ready.
Awesome. Thanks, Chloe. So yeah, I got a little download from Chloe about the hackathon and about the audience. So a lot of creators, which is really great to see. And we're trying to basically make it accessible for creators to play in crypto, in blockchain, and everything from sort of creators to non-technical kind of entrepreneurs and startup founders, all the way over to developers. So I hope the session isn't like too beginner in the beginning or too advanced in the end. This is a very wide gamut. A little bit about myself. I joined Near over a year ago, and I've been working on the developer relations team for about 6 months now. Very excited to be a part of Near, where I think we are building the most accessible, blockchain and sort of developer experience in the crypto ecosystem. And what gets me excited about stuff like this is that all of the creativity and the ideas are really the sort of the seed of what kind of comes out of this amazing space. So all of these wild kind of NFT projects and giveaways, and as Chloe mentioned, using bounty DAOs to actually distribute funds to hackathon participants. I mean, all of this is really amazing stuff. And a project like Near is actually firing on all cylinders. We have tons of community projects and also very big name, big brand projects building NFTs on Near right now. We have tons of DAOs. We have 100 Sputnik DAOs of the V1 type. So you can go to Sputnik or Sputnik.fund to check those out. And we also have tons of DeFi stuff going on with the Rainbow Bridge and with Aurora, where you can just deploy, Ethereum projects on Near. It's only becoming bigger, faster, better, stronger. What was that song? Faster, stronger, harder, better.
If my memory even worked at this point.
Am I aging myself now? That song only came out like 5 years ago, right? But there's some sort of Daft Punk song, right? Or is it like a Kanye West song? I always got confused by that. But
Jordan's got it, Daft Punk.
There you go. So Near's doing great. I'm just like so excited about the community, and every day I get to like kind of look at what's coming out on Twitter and stuff from the wider Near community and this amazing community of CreateBase. So yeah, I mean, enough preamble. Let's get into like, how would you submit your project? So I'm gonna actually share my screen, and we're just gonna walk through, I guess, a bunch of like the stuff you need to know about GitHub and how it works. Let me actually just quickly set up my development environment. I have a project that I'm hanging out in, and I don't really care because everything I do is open source anyway, so I don't care if you guys see it. But I'll zoom in. I'm just like setting the zoom of various windows here. I'll just zoom in on the fly. So let's share the screen. Okay, so here we are looking at ourselves. Can you see my screen? Yeah?
Yes, we can.
All right. So here's the hackathon. You heard about the bounty DAOs, mint-based bounties, how to earn, blah, blah, blah. And now we're at the end of the hackathon where we're doing this workshop on submission. Okay. Oh, look at all the cool council members.
A bit above that.
Where is it?
Up.
Here?
Up a little more. They're all grouped together.
Step 5. No, step 4.
Up.
Yeah?
We're still going up. We're still going up. There
here
we
we
go. There we go.
Okay, so if you do this, there's actually quite an incentive to do it. Okay, really cool. So learn more. I'm gonna pretend to be you, pretend to be y'all, and like go through this whole thing. Okay, so payout amount, post submission to the DAO of your choice. Okay, so you got to check out, I guess, all of these sort of DAOs to submit. So that's fine. I'm sure you guys have gone through this DAO process thing already. Submit a link to your full open source project on GitHub on the Near form. Okay, all submissions should include the ideation, a slide presentation, video, and code showcasing the details. So combine your ideation, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so this is like a simple, what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull together a simple folder on our machine. So like whether you're using a laptop, desktop, whatever, or Mac or Linux or Windows, it doesn't matter. We're just gonna make a folder. And then we're going to use, we'll go to GitHub first, we'll register, and we'll create like a GitHub account, and we'll create what's called a repository. So that's like a folder on GitHub. So a repository, or a repo for short, is like a folder out on GitHub. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna use the command line to take the folder of our project on our machine, and we're gonna send the files up into that folder on GitHub. Now, what I'm also going to show you is that when you make changes to your folder, I'm going to show you how to actually do something called committing those changes. And then when you commit changes, you need to write a little message about what changed, and then you're gonna do something called push, where you push it up to the folder on GitHub. So the folder on your computer is just called the local folder, and the folder on GitHub is called the remote, and basically the remote because it's remote. And then also it's usually the default name for the remote folder is called the origin. So why is it called the origin? Because it's like the single source of truth. So anyway, that's a rough idea of what I'm going to go over in like maybe the next 10, 15 minutes. And then we'll like stop and pause. And Chloe, at any point, if you want to interrupt me and you want to like ask questions and be like, oh, Matt, you know, you're talking about a bunch of nerdy shit. What is that?
No, I think we're all here to hear all about the nerdy shit and hear all about how to take, you know, the creative stuff and get it a little more nerdy and get the devs on board with these ideas. So
for sure. But what I mean to say is, like, if you don't understand, stop me. Okay.
I will definitely ask questions if I have them. Thank you.
Yeah, and we'll pause, we'll like unpack, we'll figure everything out. And the other cool thing about GitHub for creatives is that this is actually a fantastic way with particular types of files. You'll see how you can actually track the evolution of your ideas. You can track like the changes from these different sort of commits. So think about a commit on GitHub or using Git. So Git is the tool and GitHub is like the service, like the remote service. So think about each commit that you make, like each change you make and each time you log it as like a record or a checkpoint. And you'll see how all these, there's very powerful tools available for you. So let's go to GitHub, and we're going to be in my GitHub. Now I have like, maybe I should go to my personal GitHub. And that'll be more like what you see. So you'll see some stuff here. So first of all, you have to register for GitHub. So registering for GitHub is no different than like signing up for, you know, like any sort of thing like Twitter or Instagram or whatever. So you'll see a bunch of stuff on your profile. The thing that I want you to do is I want you to come up to this plus sign here, which I don't know, it's pretty cryptic. Like normally, like how would you know that that's where the new repository is? I don't know. But you're gonna come up here, and I'm not gonna zoom in actually too. So this will make it like really easy for everyone to see. So hit this plus button once you've created your GitHub account, and then you're gonna hit new repository. So you're gonna hit that. And again, this is like repo for short. So I'm gonna call this create base demo. Okay, so that's my create base demo. And basically it's going to be, the reason why there's a slash here is it's going to come like after my name. So it's going to be github.com/mattlockyer/create base demo, which means that all of these have to be like unique. So like a long time ago, I made a project called Code Tabs. So if I try to do that, it won't work. So just something to keep in mind. I'll just call it create base just to actually make it easier, to like forget the dash or whatever. The reason why people use dashes in these names though, like if I did that, is because they are in fact going to become like URLs, like links. So you need to use a dash to make it kind of make sense. So I'll just call it create base though. You can add a description if you want, and you can choose public or private. Don't make it private because closed source software is the devil. I'm just kidding. Just trying to make jokes. But make it public so that the judges can actually see it, right? Because otherwise you're going to have a bad time. So there's optional stuff here, like initialize this repo with like readme, git ignore, choose a license. I'll explain what these are like later, and you can do them. You can do these later actually from the GitHub UI as well. Like I know for a fact you can choose licenses later. I think you can add these later just by clicking around. So let's just make an empty one. So remember, it's you are the owner / your / this way, that way, I don't know. Your project name, and then make it public. And that's it. So let's create the repository. Okay, so now you're super confused. What is all this? Okay, remember when I told you that there would be a Matlock create base URL? Well, we're already in that URL. We're looking at that page. Okay, so that's cool. That's good stuff. You can. I think nobody in the creative community is going to have SSH set up. So when you're confronted with this, you probably are going to choose to use HTTPS. That's one of the things you're going to get you're going to get tripped up on. So I think the default will have you on HTTPS, but don't worry, all of the steps are the same. It's just how you're going to be sending your project up to GitHub. So I'm going to use SSH because, well, actually, I'll use HTTPS and I'll just see what happens because I better experience what 99% of you would probably experience. So I think the default is this. My default is SSH because I already have this all set up. Should I explain what this is, Chloe? I don't know.
Yeah, I think it would be great for people to understand at least maybe what SSH would do and how it might help.
Okay, cool. So HTTPS is something that you may have seen before when you're accessing websites. So you see this little lock button up at the top of my browser. It's like, oh, this page is secure. Great, right? So this is a way of accessing your GitHub repository as an owner, or basically through traditional sort of HTTP like web security. SSH is a way of talking to GitHub that uses like keys on your actual machine. So what you do is you have to go through a step. Like you could just Google this, like create SSH key. I'm on Ubuntu. You'll have to look for like Mac. Just put that in, and it just says like that. But even more specifically, you can look for like for GitHub, help me out. I'm probably gonna get like a bunch of targeted ads like, do you want to learn about SSH keys? But anyway, so create SSH key for Mac for GitHub or whatever. So how to generate, and then you follow these steps, and these people will teach you how to do that. And by the way, just while you're listening to me talk, you should probably install Git on your machine. I'm going to assume that a lot of the people have a Mac. If you don't have a Mac, use like Windows, or if you're like me, Ubuntu. But basically, just install Git.
Yeah, maybe you can drop the link for this in the chat as well.
Sure, yeah. And let's go back to our air meet. And I'm going to go in the chat. Okay. And then so get that started. And then once you're done that, just run this, and you should have some version number spit out. So what that looks like is it's usually like, it'll be like, like something like that. I don't know. Forget. I have no idea what it is. It'll probably be like, I don't know, 2 point something like that. But anyway, it'll spit out some version number, and that's how you know you have Git installed. Yay. And then it's going to tell you how to generate SSH keys. What we're going to do though, Chloe, I think the best way in the interest of time is to just stop here and let people, if you want to generate SSH keys, you go follow this tutorial on your Mac, and we'll skip back to using HTTPS as well, because it is an option. Like you can be lazy. I used HTTPS for years. anyway, using SSH keys though is a little bit more crypto, because it's kind of like having like a key pair on your machine that you use to sign transactions. So just so you kind of see some relationship there. So kind of cool. But let's use this. And what it presents to me after I created a new repo is it says like, quick setup if you've done this kind of thing before, create a new repository or push an existing repository from the command line. So I've never really like done it this way, because it's like this way is, I've always like started my Git thing. Well, I guess I've done it this way, but I kind of do it. I do this first, and then I go make the repository several steps later when I know I actually want to put the project up. But even locally on my machine, I always like kind of make a folder and like start doing some stuff. So let's we just hit create repository. We have all the instructions for us for our command line. So let's actually jump to our IDE and let's do something. So let me actually get out of this. It's not even in my near apps org. So I'm going to make a directory on your machine. You can just right click, make a new folder somewhere. But you're going to have to get into that folder with your command line anyway. So I'll make this even bigger. We don't need to actually look at the folder here. So let's look at this stuff here. So I'm going to make a directory, call it create base. I don't think I have one called create base. I'm going to actually go into the create base directory, and then I'm going to like list all the files. And of course there's no files, right? So I don't have a create base hack yet. So what you could do on your machine is if you don't want to do this stuff, you can just make a folder, call it create base, but then at some point you have to get into the folder. So I'm not really well versed with the shortcuts for Mac, but I believe there should be some sort of way to stare at a folder on your computer, and then you like hold down Shift and you right click or something, or you like option click, and there should be a way to open up like a bash terminal like right in the folder. Is there, Chloe, are you familiar with this? Do you know like the hack?
Yeah, I definitely don't dev on Mac nearly enough. If someone in the audience knows, please share. But
okay, so yeah, like what we're looking for is like if you have a folder kind of set up like this, you're looking for like right click, and you're looking for on Ubuntu, it's open in terminal, right? So if I open in terminal, I get right into the folder. So you're looking for something like that. But anyway, at any rate, you're going to need to bring up a terminal on your Mac, and it's going to look exactly like this. And you're going to need to go into like where the thing is. So you can just do that. And by the way, like pro tip, if you type like half, like or like even the first letter of the word, and there's only like a few things matching, you can just hit tab. So if you're like lazy like me, you can just you want to change directory. So that's what CD is. You want to go to projects, and then you want to go to create base project, and you just hit tab, and it just fills it in, and then you're in there. So I'm here in both Visual Studio Code, and I'm also here in my integrated terminal with terrible colors. So I'm going to switch back to this one. So list files, there's nothing there. Let's follow the GitHub instructions, and let's create the file with. So what this is going to do is it's going to create a file called readme.md, and it's going to put that at the top of the file. And actually, at this point, I will actually open up the Explorer, like the folder Explorer. I'm going to actually do something. I'm going to open up the folder this way. I'm going to go to projects, create base. No. Okay, and I'm going to look at the file that it just made. So remember, all I did was just copy this first thing, and I just pasted that in. And look, it just keeps going, create base, create base, create base. I mean, obviously, we're fans, right? So, so let's have fun. Okay, so that's our README. And then we're going to init, we're going to init this, this GitHub repository. Okay, so we have Git installed. We did this, and we got something. So we know we can use Git. But what we're going to do is we're going to init. So what does init mean? It means initialize. So we're going to initialize a Git repository inside this folder. So what that does, I'll show you how to look at this. So ls lists all the files, and ls minus f lists it lists like all of the files, directories, and hidden folders as well. So any folder with a dot in front of it, like .git, will be hidden. So let's look at what that looks like. Git init, and it says it did it. Okay, so ls does not show, but ls minus f, if you want to just check, shows that there's a .git folder. You can actually go into the .git folder if you want, but it's pretty scary, so don't do it. Don't go into the Git folder. I know what I'm doing, and I never go into the Git folder because you don't need to. You run it all from the Git tool, okay? So what you're gonna do now is, remember we created the create base title and we made a file called readme. So you're gonna add that file. Another way to do this is I usually just use this, and that's like a way to just add all the files. So boom, okay. And now we can add git, we can actually do git log. Oh, we haven't committed anything. So just wait, we'll wait on that. Well, that's the next step. GitHub commit -m. So that's a message. So -m means message. And I think all Git commits need a message. So I'm gonna say, I usually actually write init instead of first commit, because I think first commit's kind of corny. Because all you did was write git init and added files. So like init, add files. So why don't you write what you did instead of like, hey everybody, I made my first commit. Come on, GitHub, get it together. Okay, so one file changed, 3 assertions. What does that mean? I don't know. I guess I went insert, insert, insert. I don't know, or something like that. I actually I don't know like how it comes up with these numbers of like, but if I do something here, like I say like, sup, Chloe. Oh, did I spell it right? Yeah, I did, right? It's just in all caps. It looks weird.
Yeah, you spelled it. Even I have to check out.
Yeah, I know, it looks really weird because it's like monospace. So it's like making me freak out. So then you make another commit. You go change readme. Okay, so it's giving me a warning now. Oh, git add file. Oh yeah. You always have to like add. Okay, whatever. Okay, git commit. So 1 insertion, 1 deletion. So I guess I was here and then I deleted a line and then I inserted a line. Okay, so it tracks like what you change in a file. But now we can check out git log and we should see 2 commits. Okay, we see init add files and we see changed readme. Okay, so we have two things, 2 commits, 2 checkpoints that we want to actually we want to push up to the remote origin. Okay, and the remote origin is this. It's our repository. So let's do that. Git branch main. Okay, I think it's a little bit. Oh no, you got to specify it. Okay. So then I'm going to use HTTPS to upload. Now I may have to actually put in like my credentials if I use HTTPS. So you will have to do that too. So I've added a remote, and all I'm doing is copying and pasting this stuff. Like I don't care. Like so, we're on a particular branch. I'll explain what branches are in a bit, but we're basically going to add a remote origin, like a source of truth that we want for that branch, like a place where we want to save the main kind of like, the main stuff. And then we're going to push -u. This is important for the first time you push a new branch, because you have to create what is called, there's a lot of technical jargon with Git, so I'm just warning you. You have to create what's called an upstream branch. So if you think about like all these little commits you're making, you're kind of like, here's the remote origin, it's here, and then you're going to make change, and then when you actually push to upstream, you're actually kind of going like up and pushing into the main branch. So if you make change, you've actually it's called upstream because it's kind of like you swam ahead, and then you need to actually have a branch where you would like to work upstream and then push upstream, right? So then it moves the remote up to where you are, and then everybody's happy. So anyway, that's why it's called upstream, I guess. I don't know. You can go, by the way, there's like crazy explanations, but it's like very, who has the best? It's here, yeah. So Git-SES, the Git book is like the thing that tells you everything. I'm gonna see if this link is like the jump off for the whole thing. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's very scientific about Git. By the way, fun fact, I'm on Ubuntu, and the creator of Git, I'm pretty sure, is Linus Torvalds, who's the creator of Linux. And then that's where like Ubuntu Linux comes from. So it's really, really intense, like all the stuff you can do with Git. But right now, we're just going to want to push -u to set the upstream for the local branch that we're working on to the remote branch called main. Okay. Whew. All right. Is everybody ready? The extension GitHub wants to sign in using GitHub. Okay, so I'm in Visual Studio, and apparently it's going to do some silly web off sign in thing. I'm going to let it do it. I hope it doesn't reveal anything personal. No, it just says authorize. Okay, cool. Authorize. I don't actually, okay, I'm not going to do this because I don't actually want VS Code to know my public and private repositories. So I'm going to revert to using SSH, but you guys could just go through that. If you don't have any repositories, it's fine. And they're going to say, it didn't work. But I'm just going to use SSH for now. So I'm going to switch, and I'm just going to add a remote origin. I'm going to have to remove, this is kind of a good lesson for everyone. I'm going to have to remove my origin. And then I'm going to have to add the origin for SSH. So you see how I have a local branch, and then I have the option of having a remote origin, like single source of truth, on github.com. So github.com is just a service for me to park my code using Git. And in this case, instead of using the HTTPS way of adding an origin, I'm going to use the SSH. So mine will just go through automatically because I have the key on my computer. But if you use HTTPS, you'll just have to do that authorization loop. So that's the only difference between you and me at this point if you're using HTTPS. So I'm going to push it up, and it does a bunch of funny enumerating objects, counting objects, delta compression, blah 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 blah. Okay, cool. Hey, it's kind of funny because I have a big desktop. I have 24 threads, so it's kind of cool to see that it actually uses everything. I'm a nerd. Okay. Okay, so now what I usually do is once I make my first push to a brand new repository, I just refresh the page. So you just refresh the page and look at this. Whoa, it's so cool. We actually have our project, and we've actually pushed up changes to our README. We even pushed up sup, Chloe, sup. So I'm going to go to the 2 commits. So up here, you can always, when you're in the code tab and you're in your repository, your newly created repository, you can look at the 2 commits, and you can actually, what's really cool about this, what I wanted to show everybody, is you can actually jump back to before I said sup Chloe, and you can actually look at the README before that happened. You can actually browse around in this universe before I said hello to Chloe. So I'm looking at, notice I'm looking at Matlock here /createbase/tree. And why is it called tree? Because remember, we have branches of code that are going off. So it's different universes. It's these like parallel dimensions, of your code. Sorry, try not to be too nerdy, but basically this tree is related to this moment in time where I actually made this commitment of my code. So I said init add files. And then if I want to look at the other one where I said sup Chloe, I can click on this one too. And I can look at browse files. And this is the latest, of course, but it is also its own unique space. Now, the question is, when you just go to this URL, this link, without specifying a tree, what are you looking at? Well, this is a common terminology in Git. You're looking at what's called the head. And why is it called the head? Because it's, imagine like you've got all of these paths of code, and then there's one source of sort of like the beginning of the chain of everything. And that head doesn't really like exist as its own thing. It's sort of like a replacement. It's a pointer to the last commit on this origin. Okay, so I know that's like probably like too much. You don't need all of that. You just need to know, like, you're like, Matt, just give me like the commands. Let me just like copy paste. Okay, let's do that. So let's make some changes to our project here. So let's add some files. So I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just be lazy. I'm gonna copy this. So I'm gonna say like, oh, whoops. Let's go back here. So I'm gonna add a file. I'm gonna say, something cool, and I'm gonna make like a text file. So I'm gonna say like note.txt. And that's going to add note.txt to my project, but you can see that it's highlighted in green. And if you're in Visual Studio Code, it like gives you all these like Git hints. I used to have a thing, I don't know if I still have it, it's called Git Lens, and it actually tells you, it like puts like little grayed out brackets, and it tells you like who did this and when did they do it, That's kind of cool, because if you're working on projects with a bunch of other people, you can see like the different, like you can see like someone else did this, and that's why it looks this way. So you can actually go to them and complain about something. So something cool is here. So I'm gonna actually, again, I'm gonna add files. So I'm gonna git add all here. I'll bring it to the top of the screen. So you can do this as many times as you want, adding all the files. And then really what you wanna do is you wanna commit with a message, and you wanna do something cool was added. Okay. And then you're going to git push. Now notice I don't need to use -u this time, because I've already specified which of the branches I want to be as the upstream, and that's that main branch, the one that we created for the project. So if you look here, you'll see you're on the branch main. So git push, okay, and then it's enumerating objects. It's so nerdy, it's funny. Okay, so there's note.txt, something cool was added. We can look at it, something cool. What's really good about keeping notes and keeping commits is that you can actually do stuff like without actually pushing. So like, let's say you go into the woods and you have no internet connection whatsoever. What you can do is you can actually say like some bright idea, and then you can basically, oh, it always wants you to like add files. I hate this. Oh yeah, sorry. I don't see this because I always use -am. Hey, something's ringing. What's going on? Is that me? Is that you?
I think it means the Wi-Fi quality was disconnected for a bit, but
what are we gonna do,
your stream came
do?
down. So we did have a question though, and I think would be good to answer. More of an organizational point, I think.
Yeah.
But when hackers are uploading their files to GitHub, I know usually projects have a README with like a long stream of like everything needed to kind of go through the project. But should hackers be uploading multiple files, or should they put everything into that one README for their project?
I'll show you something cool, actually. I'm going to rename this to an MD, and then I'm going to edit it. I'm going to put that, and I'm going to put like a dash. This is MD is called Markdown, so you should go check out Markdown. It's pretty cool. It's like an easy way to write. I don't know what this is.
And we can't see your screen anymore. So I think you're gonna have to like unshare and reshare if it says you're sharing still.
Okay, here we go. We should be back.
Perfect. Yes.
Okay.
It is up and we are back.
So what I was showing is I renamed note.txt to note.md, and basically I'm going to commit the. I guess I'm going to commit the change. So it deleted note.txt. I think I have to actually add it again. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, but basically what I'm showing you here is that you can add a bunch of commits while you're like out in the middle of nowhere without pushing them. Something else, and I'm gonna do here. I'll bring this back up to the top. I'm gonna add. If you use -am, it ignores the warning about adding files because I didn't add any new files. I just want to commit a message about another idea. And now finally, I do git push, and you'll see a whole bunch of commits now. And that's cool because you can actually track your your changes. I'm going to get to that file question in just a second. But you see how you can track your thought process, and a lot of these were not. It was like idea, add file, another idea. That was all on my machine, and then I just pushed it once. So you can actually write git commits while you're somewhere else. By the way, too advanced for right now, but you can actually collapse a bunch of git commits into one. If you think you made a mess like this and you want to just take these four and you just want to call them another idea, you can do that too. But that's another day. Oh, yeah. See, I don't have note.txt anymore. I actually have note.md. But I want to show you how to jump around into your different files when you're submitting. I recommend. So here's my recommendation. I would recommend kind of having an overview for your project, and then what you can do is you can actually create like links, and you can link out to the other files. It's probably recommended to have different MD files, like where you can actually explain the details of the project. And anyone can come to GitHub and they can just look at this and click into each individual one. So in the README, you could really just say, so let's go back to the README on our machine. You really just say, my project is amazing. For details, see details.md in the code of the repo. Okay, so I'm going to do that, and then this is obviously not called details.md, so I'm going to change its name again. And then what we'll do is we'll come back to the we'll commit that, and then we'll go through the experience of like, okay, what does that feel like? Probably not good, because it's like, why wouldn't you just link it? And then we'll go actually do a link. I actually don't know how to like. I'm wondering if there's a way to relatively link to the file. So I'm gonna probably learn something myself. So let's commit this and just say like change. I don't know. Don't do this. Put real commit messages. So let's look at this. Create base, README. It says my project is amazing. For details, see this? Okay, so I'm looking at this. I could just click that. But what if I want to put the link in here? So I'm going to put GitHub README relative link to another file. I'm going to see if this actually works. So it does. So you can use a relative link to another file. So using Markdown, we're going to do something like this. And we're going to commit that. Don't do what I'm doing. Make a real commit message. So then when we refresh, we see that details.md is highlighted, and we can actually click, and it takes us in here. So you can see how you can actually make like kind of like a mini web page here. Let's go grab like a Giphy GIF or something, and like save it. So like You guys are successful now. You've submitted your hack. So why don't we get like Tina Fey, always a classic. And let's get the actual file. Let's download that, save image as. Oh, my downloads folder is probably pretty messy. So I'm going to put it right into the project itself. Where's my projects folder? Okay, so Tina. So now I have an image, a WebP image in my, it's still a GIF. It's just WebP, so it's not .gif. But now I have that in my folder. So if we look, we have tina.webp, okay? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna link, actually, maybe we can like show it, markdown, show image in, okay, I don't know. I actually don't know how to do this. I don't do a lot of markdown. Type it in using markdown. Oh yeah, it's just like a link. So it's the exact same thing. So we'll do tina.webp. Oh no, sorry, this is Tina. Tiny Fey. And we'll just do this. I don't know if you have to have that exclamation mark, but you can actually, what's really cool about Visual Studio Code is I can actually show a preview here. So obviously that's a link, but how do you get an image to show up? I think you exclamation mark. Yeah, okay. So now, see, I'm learning. I don't do this every day. I just copy paste like what I already have in READMEs. So let's do that. Let's push that up. Now, what we have here, which is kind of cool. Oh, come on. You gotta work with me here, GitHub. I guess GitHub wants a, oh, I know what. Okay, so this may happen to you. This is great, okay? This may happen to you. Why is Tina Fey not showing up here? Because, or Tiny Fey, because I don't actually have the file. And why don't I have the file? Because I am lazy and I skipped a step. I skipped adding my files, okay? So git add all, you really want to do that. And then you want to git commit. So don't be like me, don't do AM, do M, and say add Tiny Fey image. And then we're going to push it up. So there's actually, the image is going to be in the remote repository. So this is kind of like now like a Google Drive. And you can see we linked it up and we showed the image. Cool, cool. So that's what I recommend. I recommend creating a README that's like nice and linked up. So you can go to details.md. It's like another page and the user can click back, or inside details.md, you could create like a backlink to readme.md. So yeah, so that's that. I don't think I'm going to go into branching, but just in case you do want to know what it's about, this is a very like light intro, but I'm gonna not explain like a lot. So git checkout -b creates a new branch and call it like, you know, I'm testing stuff, okay? And so it says switch to a new branch, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say like, no. Woo! And then we're gonna git add. Remember, you should just do this, even though I didn't add a new file, but I mean, I always forget to add files. And then if you forget to add them, you get broken links, right? So git commit, oh no, I have to, oh yeah, that's when I push. I'll have to set the upstream. It's gonna give me a warning and it's gonna tell me what to do anyway. So new branch, who dis? Okay, git push, and then it's gonna say set the upstream. Okay, so that is going to create a new upstream branch on our remote origin here, so like on GitHub. And we'll see the difference between branches. So we can actually look at our work. We can see, yes, we can see all the checkpoints, the commits, and you can go back. Like if you make a mistake, you can go back. But you can also create a whole new stream of commits. So you can, it's like creating multiple rivers of your project, okay? Try to be fun with the metaphors. So it already did that. So if I refresh and I go here, I can look at testing stuff and I see, woo. But if I go back to main, it just is my project is amazing. Okay, so that's how you create a branch, and you can delete branches, you can do all sorts of stuff. But that's where I'm going to stop actually for today, and I'm just going to answer any questions that you might have about submitting your project. So all we did, just as a very, very fast recap, we created a folder and we added some files to it, and we typed git init. And then here, let me bring this back up to the top. We typed git init, and then we typed git add all. We added a remote origin. Let me go back and see where that is. We added a remote origin. You probably used HTTPS, but I used SSH. And then we just did git. The first push, we did git push minus u, I think origin, something like that. And then the rest of the time, all we did was we did git add all, git commit, message, and it's going to say that there's nothing to commit, so it's going to ignore this, but whatever. And then we did git push, and then it's just going to say everything up to date because I haven't made any changes. So you can do something like this. You can go like boop, and then you can say, oh, whoops. Again, I'm always getting trapped by this, not adding files or whatever. And then git push, and that's all we did. And then you just keep doing that over and over and over and over and over again. And then you get this this chain of stuff when you look at commits. So you can look at the main branch. If you had branches, you can look at the main branch, or you can look at testing stuff. And you'll see that testing stuff has 13 commits, but the main only has 11. So that's Git. That's how it works. You can what's really cool is the most powerful thing is, even if you're just on one branch, even if you're only using one branch, you can go backwards in time, and you can browse files, and you can look at your project back when me and Chloe were hanging before I had to get serious and show you guys some more stuff. Okay, cool. So that's it. I think that covers like the gamut, right?
Yeah, awesome. No, thank you so much. So if people have questions, please ask them in the chat. And I know people were using the questions tab earlier. And I think that gave us a pretty good overview of at least like how to get started on GitHub. I know some people in the hackathon might have never used it before. So that's an important piece of all of this. But also, once you do get started on GitHub, like what's it useful for? And I think like just showing the chain of consciousness, the chain of consensus for the project that you have in this remote place of GitHub, where you can look back and you can kind of see, okay, what were we thinking last month at the hackathon? And at each hackathon you might go to with your project, you can see what changed, who is coming onto your team, what type of contributions were those developers or people making to your project. And GitHub could be this source of truth for your project. Even if you don't have any developers yet or any code yet, it can still serve as a fun. And as we saw with, you can add, GIFs and different fun images to your README. So it can be almost like a website for your project where you can kind of showcase everything you're working on.
Yeah, and really good points on that, Chloe. I think the key thing to underscore here is that GitHub is not just for code. It is actually for tracking progress of any type of file. Just a warning though, it's not great for files that have like proprietary kind of data, like a Microsoft Word file or something like that. And that's why I recommend learning about Markdown and other files that are basically, they're kind of like just like plain text files, but they have special styling. So if you learn about Markdown, it's like very simple to create these files. And then what's really great about Markdown is you can just when you see it visually with the headings, like the big bold headings and the lists and stuff, you could just copy that and paste it directly into like a Microsoft Word or a Google Doc. So you can use this as like, you can use GitHub as like a an ultra safe way to track your thinking, your ideas, and you can branch off and think about some weird stuff and then just leave it. You can leave all those branches there. Some repositories I've worked in or like seen online have thousands of branches, like they're just going off like crazy. But what's cool about GitHub is you can actually search them, right? So you can like jump in, you can go into the branches thing, you can filter. So you can create branches, but I think for a solo person, just thinking about ideas, tracking your changes along one branch is like a great tool. And like Chloe said, you can go back like a month ago and say, what was happening here with my project, right? What was I thinking?
Exactly. What were those crazy ideas I had at that, open web hackathon? What was I thinking? But that's kind of the idea as well. You can kind of share that with other people. I did have one question about licensing. I know whenever I'm setting up my repo and I'm looking at licensing, I always go for like the Apache license, because I'm like, I don't really care about royalties. I want people to know if they do happen to find something I'm working on, they can just use it. If you're ever creating some open source software, do you license your work or repos, or what's your recommendation there?
There's a couple of ones, like MIT's good, Apache's okay, and then there's like the ultra free, like I can't remember what it's called, like Creative Commons copyleft, whatever. I really, I take the approach, Chloe, of like just not caring about any of this stuff. I assume that all licenses are going to be violated at some point, and like I just really don't care. So I try to build out in public as much as possible. The only time when I would keep something private is if it has to do with like somebody's like kind of personally identifiable information, or some like internal kind of meeting of the minds between only a select group of people. You make a private repository and you include those people. Or maybe just for fun, like for the actual benefit of the wider community, you just don't want to actually show the project yet. Because people can like go into your GitHub and they can like snoop through the public repos, right? So maybe it's like something like kind of like a surprise party, like sure you're lying about it, but it's for the benefit of the person who you're gonna like pop out and say like happy birthday. So if you want to pop out at some point with a bunch of work, and you can make it public later. So that's like my personal opinion. But if you are getting into open source like really deeply, you should get aware of all the different licenses. And where licenses matter is especially when you're using other people's code, and when you yourself are making code that's going to be used by other people, or notes or artistic work or whatever, and then whenever you're thinking of doing anything like commercial around it. So what I mean by commercial is like either you're going to make money or other people are going to use it to make money, and you would like to be credited. So that's where licensing really helps out, and understanding licenses helps.
Awesome. Thank you very much. So I don't see any other specific questions. So I'll say thank you once again. I learned quite a bit myself. I'm one of those people who kind of goes in and just, git commit and, copy and paste the same thing. So I'm not really using GitHub to its fullest either. So hopefully
and I would just say it's not that scary. Like, do what I did today. Like I'm basically just going to delete this repository and delete the folder. Like, you're just making files, right? Mm-hmm. Like you're just making files and you're shoving a bunch of stuff in. Obviously don't move an important file into your test repository like that you're going to delete later, but like just copy it and paste it. Like all of this digital stuff is so it's so free and easy to copy files that you should just make a mess and experiment, and just take some time to watch this video again and like actually do it yourself, because the hands-on is the only way to get good at this stuff. And then try making branches. Go look at the Git book and like try to make some branches. And then once you get them up onto GitHub, you can like flick between the different branches. It is pretty cool, and it is like parallel dimensions, like I was saying. Like it's actually really cool. And oftentimes in software development, what they do is I didn't cover this today, but what you'll do is you'll have this thing called the main branch. So you'll be working in the main branch, and then what you do is you want to add like a new page, like we added in this example. So you create a new branch, and then you add that page, and you go commit, and then what you do is you merge back into the main branch. So you can see these little like little commits or like little checkpoints. That's like, it's like main is here, and then you branch off and you go like change, commit, and then you come back to main, and it draws a line like straight up from main here up to there, and it creates this this sort of like graph or tree of your work. Like I guess it's not a tree because the branch kind of like grows off and then like grows back into the tree, but
that's all right. Trees do some weird things sometimes. But someone did have a point, asking about, do you have to use the CLI to submit your projects? And the answer to that would be no. Of course, you can go on GitHub, you can hit, upload file as well and do things using the UI. And that's, quite simple to do. Someone gave an example of using HackMD templates to make your, README look really good with Markdown. So, as Matt was saying, watch this over again. It'll be on the CreateBase YouTube page up later, and go through some of the CLI if you want. Use the user interface if that's more your thing. Try some different Markdown templates, and have some fun with it. I mean, this might be a link you're showing, investors later, family, friends about your project. So yeah, I'd say have a lot of fun with what you're doing. Yeah, and I'm glad that people who are coming here are enjoying this so far. So thank you everyone for coming out to this workshop. I hope you had a lot of fun. I definitely did. I learned a lot. And I hope, Matt, you had a lot of fun as well.
Yeah, it was great, Chloe. And I'm hoping that I, was able to kind of demystify some of this this noise around Git and stuff, because it is a really powerful tool, and I do kind of firmly believe it could be used, for note taking, for creatives. It is actually, it's funny because I was thinking about that tool. A lot of people are going crazy about like Notion, or there's another one called Roam Research, which like links up all of your ideas and stuff, and that's pretty cool. But you can get quite a lot of like, note taking and the ability to like backtrack through your ideas just using GitHub. So so check it out, like go deep on like you could even probably Google like non-code uses of GitHub and like stumble into like an entire like niche community on the internet that's using GitHub for non-code related work. So so fun stuff. Like it's a powerful tool. It's free. So why not use it,
Definitely agreed. So thank you very much, everyone. And tomorrow we have off for hackathon events, but Sunday it is jam-packed. So I'll drop the link here in a bit, but please hopefully see you all on Sunday and get those submissions in for the hackathon. Okay, see you all, everyone, and thank you so much for coming out. Bye.
All right, thanks.